not sure what else needs to be said, Custodian. We have barely a week before the enemy darkens these skies. You have gathered the wretches for the tithe. Now you will depart, and leave us to face the foe alone.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
Well, they did it. Games Workshop doubled down, and this is the Tithes, Warhammer TV. Now, this is going to be heavy spoilers, so just warning you guys, if you haven't seen this episode, it's actually pretty good. Go on Warhammer TV right now, watch it, come back, because I'm going to spoil the crap out of it and talk over some of it, and, you know, I can't one-for-one record the episode and play it on YouTube. They'll probably strike it down, but I actually do have some stuff to say, so... I'm going to do my best to try to explain some of this stuff for any of you guys that aren't into Warhammer, because it is actually really cool. And if you stick around to the end of the video, we'll talk about my opinion on what Games Workshop did with the female Custodes. Cat in the background. What we have here is these are psychers, latent psychers, people with the ability to contact the warp. Think of them as Jedis that instead of the Force, they tap into the power of hell. And untrained psychers are very dangerous because they can become demon possessed. Some of them are so powerful they can destroy planets at the top end. So what they do is each planet has they have a quota. You have to donate a certain amount of psychers to the Imperium, and they come collect them, and some of them will be trained, some of them become astropaths. They'll guide ships through the warp. That's how they travel. Some of them will be fed to the furnace that feeds the Golden Throne to keep the Emperor alive. It's pretty dark stuff. And here's the cool thing: these guys don't even know. They think that they have no idea what's in store for them. Now, the lady with the stick is what's called a null. She basically has no soul, no connection to the warp, and in her presence, it diminishes the powers of psychers. And the guys she has with her, they're called Arbites. Arbites? They're basically rip-offs of Judge Dredd. So think of them as super cops.
Yes, I will accompany you. What do you mean?
So they complain about representation, and here's a Sister of Silence right there. Beautiful, deadly, awesome. They fight next to the Custodes, and what do they do to the female Custodes? They turn her into a dude. Exactly what I said was going to happen. The only way that she could go through the process is if they turned her into a man. I mean, I don't believe this is what feminism wants. You know, I asked my wife, I was like, do you feel represented by this giant muscle mommy? Look, she's a cool character, and they did her really well. If you watch the episode, the animation's awesome. It's she kind of emasculates the Marines a bit, but she's a Custode, so you know that's her position, if you will. I don't know. This episode says a lot of things, so it's interesting, but it is well done, and I did enjoy the episode. She kept breaking me out of the immersion though, because I just kept asking myself, like, why? You know, why did they do this? But more on that.
The blood of martyrs is the seed of the Imperium. Concern yourself with the harvest at Nicoya. I will deal with what comes after.
I do have to admit, that's pretty cool, watching her get dressed with the carapace and the armor and everything. Pretty awesome. Custodes are like, if a Marine is 100 times stronger than a human, a Custodes is 100 times stronger than a Marine. They're pretty badass. So she is an army of one, and with the Sister of Silence is the ultimate null. Basically, they have They are anathema to the warp. They actually will cancel warp powers out, and they're badass warriors. I think the Sister of Silence is cooler than a female Custodes, to be honest with you, because she's just a dude with no wiener, really. I mean, there's no difference.
These signs are unknown to me.
I am Tirith Shiva Kairos. This is Atlakoya, Oblivion Knight of the Anathema Psychana.
So the conflict, or the friction between the Marine and the Custodes, it kind of comes from the Horus heresy. So the Custodes think that the Marines were prideful, and a lot of them fell to chaos and became evil, and they started the Horus heresy. And so they look down on the Marines, and the Marines think that the Custodes are just arrogant pricks. Can't even be bothered to talk. They get Sister of Silence signing for her, and they don't even understand sign language. And he's just like, ugh. I am a Marine, so I get it, man. Sometimes you just deal with officers, and they just really think like we're conscripts that are, serfs that are pulled from the farm to go fight for the king, and we're the peasants. So this guy's just like, yeah, all right.
And you are here to reinforce us, Custodian? You intend to gather the harvest and abandon us. Very well. My warriors and I cannot remain here. We are needed in the preparation of the planet's defenses.
Remember, we must meet with Balakite at once, face to face.
I will convey that to the captain. Disappear. You can make your own way from here.
So here's the Null and the Arbites, and they have, you see the genuine fear that normal people have for the Custodes. They're terrified of her, and rightfully so, because if she deems that they're a threat to the Imperium, she'll wipe them out by herself. It'll be like almost instantaneous, and there's nothing they can do to stop her. That's how powerful her and with her Sisters of Silence counterpart. I would say, well, you'll see how deadly she is. She's pretty badass. I think they did the Sisters of Silence. That to me is a representation for the female representation. If I was a woman, that's how I would want to be portrayed. Not as some big juiced up meathead, you know what I mean, that doesn't even talk. Just decrees things and lumbers around until she fights. Then she shifts into another gear, and it's just pretty cool.
All is well. Prepare the dropships. What's that? What's coming? Something empty. Is it time to go?
Are you here to save us? Yeah, sure. Yeah, get in the van. It says free candy. Yeah, no, it's okay. Just go. Just get in there.
Word from the White Templars.
Nothing to worry about. Come on.
Revered Custodian.
Why are we still talking about this? Let's go.
What is it?
So the Tyranids, as it turns out, do have a presence in the warp, and what you're seeing here is these Psychers can hear everything. They don't have control of their powers, and the Imperium will, like I said, will decide if they can. If they can't be controlled, then they're just going to be used as batteries, basically. But right now, they're they don't even know they're psychers, and one guy's freaking out because he's hearing all the voices, and you'll see the Sister of Silence just gets into it, man. It's pretty cool. I dig it. I do like the world building. I just can't. The female Custodes just pulls me out of immersion. I just can't. It's just so weird to me. Well, I'll get into that, why I think that is. Because honestly, like, I don't have a problem with the female Custodes. I think she's awesome. Like, she fights and kicks ass. But I can't help but think of what is the reasoning behind it? Like, why do they make this? Like, who is this for? And that's what pulls me out of the immersion, those questions. Yeah, you see how she just voided his power out and just... That's pretty cool, huh?
Arbitrator, contact. The landing zone is no longer secure.
All forces, suppress this matter. Onto the transport! Move!
Now, I'm not 100% up to speed on Tyranids, but I believe those are lictors, and they stay on. They stow away and seed planets and kind of like prepare them for the oncoming horde, the massive Tyranids that will come. So basically, Tyranids are, think of the movie like Aliens, or pick a alien bug type thing that just consumes all life until there's nothing left. And then, what was it, the Zerg for StarCraft, aliens, it's a pretty common sci-fi trope. They just, there's no remorse. They're a force of nature. They kill and consume everything. And, a squad is, like, powerless against one or two of these things. And you'll see, like, the Sisters of Silence and the Custodes, they're an army of one, and they can pretty much take down hordes of them. So you see the stark difference in power and, the speed and agility and all that stuff. It's pretty amazing, and I love the way they depicted it, too. They did a really good job. Like, I'm super impressed with the animation. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. My issues, like I said, is more the reasoning behind all the changes that they made, and I have some thoughts on that, believe me.
Secure the area. Evacuate the harvest now, before any more are lost.
No, I'll admit this part pissed me off a little bit, and I understand, like, if it was a male Custodes, it would be showing the difference in authority and ability and the reverence and respect that you would definitely want to show. But, as a Marine, I keep thinking, like, how it was for us, when we were dealing with, officers and NCOs and certain situations and the way they just get talked down to. It's like, I ain't asking you, motherfucker. But in this, I think they really did. See, I can't help but feel like they did this just to emasculate the male character. The strong male lead must be emasculated by the big, strong female in charge. And I'm like, maybe I'm reading into it too much. That's very possible. Because I went into this with bias, and I'm trying to give it an honest appraisal, but it's kind of hard. But like I said, I am giving this episode thumbs up as far as like how they presented it, the portrayal of everything, the immersion, the world building, everything. Like, I love it. I mean, the episode's good. And I think that it's probably fine moving forward that there are female Custodes, but that's not the issue I have with it.
It is the will of the Emperor that we execute a firebreak around Segmentum Solar, a ring of lifeless worlds, forcing the High Fleets to seek biomass elsewhere. You will withdraw your chapter's forces from the surface of Istrad. You will break your oath to this planet and its people. And once your warriors are in orbit, you will commit exterminatus upon this world.
You cannot ask this of us.
I am asking nothing of you. I am conveying the will of the Emperor.
An oath upheld for 3,000 years, the honor of our chapter.
We will suffer no threats to terror, no matter the cost in blood, in life, or in honor. You heard the Emperor's command, Space Marine. You will obey it.
I will.
The galaxy once burned because of Space Marine pride. But he will do as he must. Nothing else matters. For now.
And they got what they came for, and now they're leaving. Just like that. Pretty cool, huh? I did really like this episode. The series seems to be pretty cool so far. This is the second episode of 2. Definitely recommend going and watching both of them. Like I said, I think the episode was really well done. Now, what are my issues with it? So, to be clear, I have no problem with there being female Custodes. Whatever. Honestly, if they say that they've always existed. But I don't believe that that's the reason that they're doing this. If you look at all the media across the board where they're inserting these identity politics and making this huge deal with they're basically getting rid of strong white male leads that were being discarded, pushed in the back. And, they're doing gender swaps, they're doing race swaps, and then they're making a big deal out of it. They're making sure there's conflict. They're setting us up for conflict. It's a small vocal minority that's insisting that they need to be inserted into our male spaces. And, we're called bigots and phobes and all that. And, we don't want women. And they're like, there's no representation in Warhammer. You don't watch Warhammer if that's what you think, because most of the leads are women. There's armies that are all women. There's 2 factions that are all women. There's tons of women characters, and they're really cool characters. I will even go so far as to say that this female Custodes is not a bad character. I think she represents the faction very well, and it's consistent with the lore. She basically is what a Custodes would be, a dude. She's a big old muscle mommy. But it's the reasoning, like, well, why do it? So you think about it. So despite what Games Workshop says, they don't want us, whatever, like if we're not inclusive, we're not wanted. But we are the majority of your business. Let's face it. When you have way over half, if the majority of your customers are what we represent, you're kind of stupid to push us to the side and create animosity, because it's just a bad business plan. You're just going to lose money. There's no incentive. So anytime you want to try to indoctrinate people or change an ideology, there has to be an incentive for us to play along, and there is no incentive. You're basically saying that we had our shot, and now we need to get out of the way. White males, strong white men, need to just shut up. But we're the majority, unfortunately, and you have given us no incentive to play along. So I don't, it's not a winning strategy, and that's really the reason why the left, even though they have the loud voices, the levers of powers, they'll never have control as long as we exist. Basically what they need is society, in order to break down the rules of society, if you will, Western civilization. They have to get us all to agree on a lie. Now, Russia did this in 1917 when the Bolsheviks took power. Now, they did it with class. It was the bourgeois versus the proletariat. And what did Alexander Solzhenitsyn say? He said, they were lying. We knew that they were lying. They knew that we knew that they were lying, and yet everybody believed the lie. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but essentially, they knew it was all bullshit, but everybody went along with it. It was a system of fear, go to the gulag, that kind of thing, or just get straight up murdered. And the useful idiots, they called them. Those would be unfortunately, the feminists, the trans movements, the race baiters, all those people are useful idiots. And those were the first people they eliminated when they took power. Put lined against the wall and shot, because they didn't want them. Matter of fact, once the Marxists, the Bolsheviks, once they took power, all of that went against their ideology. They couldn't have them. So the people that were screaming the loudest were the first ones to be eradicated. And unfortunately, what my LGBT alphabet brothers and sisters don't understand is you guys are being used. They're pushing this. They're creating this animosity, and it's right out of the playbook. All these books are, always telling us, like, read a book. Well, go read one. Go get Marx's literature and read it. Really read it, and you'll see that it's like it didn't work. Class warfare didn't work because Americans had it too good. The working class was able to support a family, and there was nothing that they weren't going to rise up. So they've been chipping away ever since, and now we are to a point where the scales are being tipped, and they've found a way to divide us. They've found a way to divide us using race and this gender nonsense, and they're trying to get pushed to where, we can't even define what a woman is. What is a woman? Oh, a woman is whatever a woman is. That's your answer. Now we know what a woman is, and we state our opinions. And as long as we do that, the lie will never. It's gonna, it might persist. The conflict might persist, but they can't win as long as people are speaking the truth. So they have to do whatever they can to shut us up. With this, canceling channels, it's censoring, it's whatever they do. You know what they've been doing for the last few years. Well, luckily, it looks like the tables are starting to tilt a little bit. We've had a couple successful IPs. Warhammer Space Marine 2 came out, and it's a male power fantasy, and they're desperately trying to insert themselves into that. And luckily, Games Workshop was sensible enough to say, leave that alone. What was the other one? Wukong, Black Wukong, the Monkey King, Journey to the West. It was based off of that epic trilogy. That video game, they tried to do the same thing. Said there wasn't enough diversity in that game. That just blew my mind, because it's like there's no people in that game. It's all diversity. It's all demons and gods and stuff. So I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And there was one article that said there's no women in this game at all. And I'm like, no, you just didn't play it, because once you get to like the third or fourth act, it's all women. There's a bunch of cool ones. And that's another thing that there's often there's contempt prior to investigation. They'll make a cursory examination of something and then decide this is what it is. It's so stupid. You read the articles of some of these, publications, and it's all clickbait and racism and whatever. It's all lies and bullshit, because they're basically saying Anybody that had a problem with the female custodians doesn't want women, doesn't like women. What are you talking about? We're all married with kids. We love women. And, you know, I've said it before. I run a all-female army. I'm Sisters of Battle. What was their issue with the Sisters of Battle? They said they didn't like the boob armor, and they felt like it was over-sexualized. And here's the thing. What men have to admit is that we are very sexually driven, and we do want attractive women. If you would have made this Custodes a super sexy muscle mommy with like boob armor and like, you know, whatever, as a, you know, you could say that that's whatever, problematic, but you're basically going to start printing money. You know what I mean? All the little horny boys are going to come out of the woodwork and just they're going to buy that product. I mean, you're seeing it in gaming, you know, with the few Japanese titles that are still allowed to come out, where it's these scantily clad women that are just fighting giant demons. And, you know, yeah, that's just, you have to be honest. You have to understand that this is how men are, and this is how we're driven, and you can't change biology. And that's what they're basically trying to do. They're trying to get us to believe and admit to a lie, and they're trying to make us feel bad or look bad for speaking the truth. It is what it is. You know, we're going, if you look at all of human existence, it's like this big, and we're maybe this little tiny sliver is where we exist. And you're trying to erase all that biology, you know, all of that. It just, you can't do it. And we would do good to be honest with ourselves and be okay with what motivates us and what we, you know, we vote with our dollars. And you see this woke crap. What a Concord. Concord was basically for LGBT by LGBT, and there's no audience for it. It failed miserably. It was it might be the worst game release in history, and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars in production on that. You made your game, you made it the way you wanted to, and nobody's playing it. Why? We're not interested in it. And so now you're trying to insert yourself into stuff we like, and it just doesn't work that way. You made your crap, nobody wants it. That should tell you everything you need to know. And the male whatever power fantasy that is Space Marine 2 is making money hands over fist. That should tell you everything you need to know. The customers, the bigots, the phobes that you're complaining about are printing you money. Like, what are you doing? You're a company. Like, why are you not catering to that? And I think what Games Workshop is trying to do at the end of the day is have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to get their DEI points because BlackRock and Vanguard hold like 20% of the company, and that's how they probably get a lot of their funding. Makes sense. If they're trying to do a show on Amazon, well, you already know the person in charge is going to be some giant muscle mommy that bosses everyone around, and of course is the most powerful character. Can't be a dude. So they're setting that up, obviously. You know, at some point, here's the thing, it's like getting to the point now where it's laughable, everybody's mocking it openly, and we're starting to just not care anymore. We're just starting to not care about your opinions on the matter. It's just like you're becoming irrelevant. You have a little dog, and it just barks all day. Yap, 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 yap. At first, it's super annoying, and you'll give it cookies, and you feed it, and you give it anything it wants to shut it up. But it just keeps barking. Yap, 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 yap. After a while, you become numb to it. It's barking in the background, and you don't even notice it. It's like the fire alarm, that beep. You ever hear that? Some videos, people have their fire alarm batteries they need changed, and they don't even hear it because it's been going off for months, and they just tune it out. Well, that's what's happening with this. You're being tuned out, and I'm so happy to see it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm against you. I'm against them using you to divide us. That's the issue. You are totally welcome. Like, come on, man. Get in here. Just, quit trying to change everything. Make your own shit. Join us. But shut up. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. The episode itself, pretty good. I liked it. I kept breaking the immersion every time she took her helmet off. I'm just like, ugh. Ugh. But whatever. I mean, other than that, it was pretty cool. She was so manly that the captain was surprised when she took her helmet off. And he was like, the hell? I gotta do a check, see what's going on down there. Other than that, pretty cool. All right. I love you guys. See you on the battlefield.